Hello Algebra! Hope you guys are doing great. It is the new lecture, time for 5.4, which is a lecture on special products for polynomials. And afterward, we are done with chapter 5. The next step would be to work on chapter 6. Now, I know that we still have issues with exam 2, but that will be resolved very quickly, and I will be posting on Canvas very soon, so please make sure you are logging on every day to my MATLAB and Canvas, and just, keeping fresh with information as the class goes on, because now this is officially an online class. Alright, so let's talk about special products. So I have talked about polynomials. I talked about addition and subtraction of polynomials. Last time we talked about multiplication of polynomials. And today it's time to take a look at three special cases, which will, two of them will give us formulas that you guys will need to memorize for chapter 6 and the rest of the math that you will be taking. So what happens if I have x minus 2 times x plus 2, right? Well, it shouldn't be nothing special, right? Because you have method from last class when we just FOILed everything. So we're just supposed to have x squared, and then, right, because that's x times x, and then x times 2 is plus 2x. Then we have negative 2 times x to give us negative 2x. And finally, negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. Now, these guys cancel as like terms, and we get x squared minus 4. Alright, we just used what we learned last class. There shouldn't be nothing new, nothing special, right? But then you say, okay, how about x plus 3, x minus 3, right? Well, let's see what we get, because we are going to do the same multiplication like last time. So x goes into both, which is x squared minus 3x. And then we have 3 times x for plus 3x, and 3 times negative 3 for negative 9. Uh-oh, these guys cancel again, and we have x squared minus 9. Wow, the answer looks pretty much very similar, right? It's not the same because 9 and 4 are not the same number, but they look the same, right? They're very similar. So when we look at this, we say, wow, what is going on here, right? I want to see if there is a pattern, and there is a pattern. If these two parentheses are the same, right? If the two parentheses are the same, then, well, I mean, with the opposite sign inside, then we have something that we call product of a sum and a difference. Now we'll have a better name in chapter 6 going backwards, but right now we're going to say product of a sum and a difference. So look, if you have a plus b times a minus b, the answer will always be a squared minus b squared. And this is a formula which we are remembering, right? So this is one of the special products, and you actually now, if you know this formula, you do not have to compute anymore. You can just write out the answer, right? So if you have, let's say, y plus 3, let's do 10, y minus 10, then you're going to say, oh, that's y is the same as y, 10 is the same as 10, and the signs are opposite. So that's exactly the form of the special product. So it's just y squared minus 100. The sign is always a minus in there, and you just get to square each one of these individually. Let's say you have xy plus 5, xy minus 5. Well, the first one, the second one, and they're repeated. So take the first one and square it. So that's x squared y squared minus 5 squared is 25. As soon as you learn the formula, all you need to do is to square each one independently and make sure that you are squaring right every member, and you're done. How about 3a plus b and then b minus 3a? Well, they do have the same members, but they're not in the same order. Luckily, this one is addition and it's commutative. So we can switch this one. And now we have b and b and 3a and 3a, and then plus and a minus. So we can just say b squared minus 9a squared. You square b, you square 3a, and that's it. So it's very structured, right? Let me see a problem, or a couple of problems from the textbook to see what they expect you to know. So here's problem number 10 in the textbook. It says 10x plus 3 times 10x minus 3. All right. 10x, 10x, that's the same. 3 and 3, that's the same. Plus and minus, opposite signs. So it definitely fits our formula. So square them. So that's 100x squared minus 9. Problem 16 says 2x plus 7, 2xy plus 7, 2xy minus 7. So I'll give you a few moments to try this on your own right now. All right, so we have 4x squared y squared minus 49. So that's our first formula. We are memorizing the formula, which says, can also learn it as x's and y's. So if you have x plus y, x minus y is going to be x squared minus y squared. So formula, and we need to memorize this one, right, because it will eventually show up. All right, so now we have one more product, special product to worry about, and this one is called square of binomial. Square of binomial. Now we learned that binomials have two terms inside. Right? Two terms in a polynomial, and it's called binomial. Okay, we know what to do, right? We write the same parenthesis twice because it's squared, right? 3 squared is 3 times 3. 10 squared is 10 times 10. So the square makes you multiply the same value by itself. So I have now a plus b squared. Therefore, I write a plus b times a plus b. So what I have here is, again, we FOIL. I get a squared plus ab plus ba plus b squared. Now, we already discussed earlier, all the way, maybe even in chapter 1, that these are like terms because AB is the same as BA. It's a commutative rule for multiplication. So, those are like terms, and I can combine them into a term that's 2AB, right? And so, apple plus apple is 2 apples. So now we found the formula which says that a plus b squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That's the square of binomial. Square of binomial formula. So what do I do here? Well, if I have x plus 3 squared, that is different than what we had earlier with one with plus and one with minus. These are both have plus, right? And yeah, you can write it twice and you can multiply it, but you can also use this formula to save some time. So clearly, you invest time now to memorize it, and then you reap benefits later. When you don't have to multiply, you can just unleash the formula you memorized. And pretty much, everything in life is the same way, right? You invest time in something, and then later down the line, it's better or more efficient or whatever, right? So now, this formula might look like a nuisance, but technically what we know is that down the line it will save us some calculations, so okay, we're going to memorize the formula. Now, how do we use the formula? You see, what we have here is x plus 3 squared. So when I compare, I see that a is equal to x and b is equal to 3. And you literally just plug them into the formula. There's nothing special, right, about these formulas. So your x is a and your b, right, is 3. You just need to plug them in. What do I have? I have a squared, well, that's x squared, plus 2 times a is x, b is 3, plus 3 squared. So what does this work out to be? Works out to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. I did not FOIL, I did not multiply, distribute, I did not collect like terms, none of that. I just applied the formula and I am done. let's see. How about 2x plus 6 squared? So I know that the formula I need is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And I know that my a is 2x and my b is 6. So just plug in. You memorize this. You can read these from the problem and just plug in. So 2x everything squared plus 2 times a is 2x plus, times b, which is 6, plus 6 squared. So this is your a, this is your 2, this is your a, this is your b, this is your b squared. Your a squared, right? So all of the features are just plugged into the formula, and you do basic arithmetic now. There is no special stuff here, right? Just basic arithmetic. 4x squared plus 24x, because 2 times 2 is 4, times 6 is 24, plus 36. Done. Right? Done. If you really want to check, then 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 6, and go ahead, FOIL everything. You will get this. You have to. Right? So this formula allows us to go through the calculation much quicker than if we are to sit down and FOIL and then later on collect like terms. Let's pick up another example from the book. Well, actually, let's work out the negative sign as well, and then. So if you have a minus sign, then your formula is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Also square of binomial. Except this time you have a negative in here. Now, people sometimes combine this into a single formula. A plus minus b squared is a squared plus minus 2ab, always plus b squared. So it's easier, right, to remember. And if the sign changes, the only sign change is the first one. The last one over here, the second one, is always a plus. That's something that's, some people like to remember this. Some people like to remember two separate formulas. It's the same formula, just negative b is, right, when b is negative, it impacts the middle term, and since you're squaring b in the last term, the negative does not have an impact. It's always going to be a plus there. So the textbook said 5x minus 2 squared. Okay. Your a is 5x, your b is 2. And we are using a minus formula. So that's 5x squared minus 2 times a, which is 5x, times b, which is 2, plus 2 squared, b squared, right? So I have my a minus 2ab plus b squared. We just need to do arithmetic now. 25x squared minus, no, that's a 4 times 5, 20x plus 4. That's all it is. We don't have to FOIL if it's a special product. Let's take a look at another one. What else do they have in homework? Three-quarters A minus 4. They toss in fractions to scare you. 3/4 A minus 4 squared. Well, now the problem is that they have A over here, so but still, we have the same thing. 3/4 A squared. The formula is A squared minus 2AB plus B squared. Your A is 3/4 A, your B is 4. So here's your A squared minus 2 times A is 3/4 little a times B, which is 4, plus 4 squared. And now we just square it. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, A squared. So the square goes everywhere, right? And squaring a 3 and squaring a 4 and squaring a 2 minus in the middle term over here 4 and 4 cancel, so that's nice. So when they cancel, we just have 6A. 3 times 2 is 6, and then plus 16 at the end. So this takes the problem. All right, let's take a look at another one. How about 5 plus y cubed everything squared? Not a problem, right? A is 5, B is y cubed. So just plug them in. The formula again is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now why is the plus here? Because it's a plus in the formula. So when this is plus, that's plus in front of 2ab. If it's a minus, it's a minus. So what do we have? Oops. We have a squared, that's 25, plus 2 times a times b, which is y cubed, plus y cubed squared. That's 25 plus 10y cubed plus y to the 6, because power of power, we multiply them. We learned in 5.1, right, that when you have exponents, they multiply. So 3 times 2 is 6 on y. This rule was in 5.1. So I hope you're not skipping sections. You should be watching, right, all of them in order and learning all of them in order, because right now we are using everything else we learned in chapter 5 prior to this. So you have to learn previous material to be able to understand this today. And it's pretty much very interesting and simple, in sense that, you know, you're memorizing formula and just plow through it. It's not, you know, there's no too much thinking here. Let's take one more example from the book, let's say 38. And we have one more thing to look at after this. So 9 minus 5x squared, everything squared. So I will give you some time to do this. All right, so it's the same, right? A is 9, B is 5x squared. So a squared, that's 81, minus 2 times a, which is 9, times b, which is 5x squared, plus 5x squared squared. So we have 81 minus 45 times 2 is 90x squared plus 25x to the fourth. So when you look at this over here, I said 9 times 5 is 45, and then 45 times 2 is 90. Like, we have to multiply all of these numbers. So that's what we have for this. So we learned 2 formulas so far. We learned that if you have a plus b times a minus b, so signs are different, you get a squared minus b squared. And when you have same signs, which is a plus b squared, you get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Or if you have a minus, then it's a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. All of these formulas, which we covered today, are, you memorize the formula, and then you just plug in the values. There are no multiplication, no foiling, no distribution, nothing. You just know the formula, you plug the numbers in, and you are done. So just want to one more time show this. So if I have x minus 5 times x plus 5, then we have x squared minus 25, because my a was x, my b was 5, and I just plugged them in. So x squared minus 5 squared, which is 25. Done. Now if I have x minus 5 times x minus 5, then this is x minus 5 squared. And that has the, in this case, because of the minus, is the third formula here. And we have x squared minus 10x plus 25. Remember, this term was that 2ab term, right? So your 2 times 5 times x, right? 2 times 5 is 10. And finally, we have x plus 5, x plus 5, which is x plus 5 squared, which is the same problem with the plus in the middle. So here are the formulas and example for each. And as you can see, they're very close, right? So make sure you learn this well, right? You learn one at a time. Make sure you master it, then you move to the next one, so you don't get them confused later on when you need them. So at the end of the lesson for today and end of chapter 5, what are we going to do if we have x minus 2 cubed? Now there is a formula that you could work with, but this one is the best if you write it out and then do the FOIL, right? So we write this as x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 2. And now copy the first x minus 2, and then FOIL these ones. And that's the case with the minus. So we all immediately know it's x squared minus 4x plus 4 because we use the formula. So I'm just going to do this, and I can say special product of a minus b everything squared, because that's what you have, right? You have a negative sign in parentheses, and you have two parentheses that are the same, right? So a and b are the same. So now just apply the formula. And now you get to FOIL x into all 3, and then negative 2 into all 3. So we get x cubed minus 4x squared plus 4x, those are the red ones, and then negative 2x squared for the blue, positive 8x, and negative 8 at the end. So we do have 6 calculations here, and we have 6 terms. And now we just need to combine the like terms. So what do I have? X cubed has nothing to combine with. Then I have negative 6x squared, positive 12x, and negative 8 at the end. So they do give you a couple of these exercises to practice with the cube. So I'm just going to do one more, one from the homework, so you can follow along. But it's you multiply 2 of these first. It's just, guys, it's the same like multiplying 2 times 3 times 4, right? You can't multiply all 3 at once. So you either multiply 2 by 3 to get 6 and then times 4, or you multiply 3 and 4 to get a 12 and then multiply by 2, right? Or you multiply 2 times 4 to give you 8 and then times 3, and all of these always give you 24. It doesn't matter in which order you multiply them, right? So when you have to multiply 3 numbers, you pick a pair that you want to multiply first, and then you multiply by whatever number you didn't use yet. Well, it's the same thing for our cube up there. You multiply 2 of those 3, and then you multiply by the third one. So it should be, right, after this kind of explanation should be common sense. So here is problem 46 to end the lecture. 4z plus 3 cubed. So my job is to write 4z plus 3 times. There we go. And now I'm going to copy the first one because I will be distributing that one. And now I'm going to use the formula for this. Again, that's a special product. This over here is 4z plus 3 squared. And we know what that is, right, from our earlier, from the formula. So that's going to be 16z squared, because it's a squared, right? That's your a, that's your b. Then we have keep the sign, so that's plus. 2 times 3 times 4. Well, that's 24. Z plus 3 squared is 9. So 2ab term, the one in the middle, is 2 times 4z times 3, which works out to be 24z. Alright, now I need to FOIL 4z here and there, and then the blue one's 3 goes into each one of these. All right, so red one. 4 times 16, that's a 64z cubed. Plus 24 times 4, that's 96z squared. 9 times 4 is 36, so plus 36z. So that's our first 4z multiplied into each one inside the parenthesis. Then I go 3, right? 3 times 16 is 48, so plus 48z squared. Plus 3 times 24, that's 72z. Because, right, 3 times 20 is 60, and 3 times 4 is 12. 60 and 12 is 72. Easy. Plus 27 at the end when we multiply 3 times 9. And we had 6 terms to worry about. We have 3 red, 3 blue. Add like terms, and that's it. 64z cubed plus, now I have 2z squared, right? 130, 144. 144 z squared. Now I have this one and this one. So it's 108z plus 27. Ta-da! That's it. So you have to use the formula to, I mean, you can multiply each one without the formula too, but knowing the formula now helps you go quicker through chapter 6, and you'll have to know this formula, actually know it backwards, for factoring in chapter 6. So it's much easier if you learn this stuff now, and then when you need it later on, you just use it rather than going back and looking it up. That is it for chapter 5. That is it for chapter 5. We are going to start chapter 6 tomorrow, so 6.1. I post 4 short lectures, right, per week, so we have enough time to end our course by May, whatever is 12th or whatever. So we only have a month left, actually. If you take a look at today is 7th, and the finals are around May 10th or so. So, right, we have about a month, right? So we have a couple of chapters to go through. So next section will be chapter 6, and please watch those announcements. So for those of you that are confused, I am posting. So this is now online class. So there is no class for us to meet at 3 or 5 or 11 or whatever. So I could be posting this at 1 a.m. I could be posting it when I post it. So I decided to keep the times for each or class at the original, right, to go online at that time. But the lectures are staying on my channel, right? So if you go to my channel and you click the playlist, I'm just going to check now. So I go to my channel and then I click on the playlist. There is a playlist for elementary algebra. And when you click on that playlist, it will show 4.1, 4.2, chapter 4, 5.1, 5.2. I will add 5.3. And when 5.4 becomes available, I will add 5.4 as well. So I'm going to add now 5.3, but to the playlist. The video exists since yesterday. So you should be, Monday through Thursday, there's always going to be a short. It's better to have one lecture every day than to have two per day, right? So that's why I do this, so it's easier, and you can all follow, a little bit, less per day, rather than to, cram everything in one day. So I'm going to add 5.3. I will add later on whenever it's available. YouTube needs to process this. So I will add 5.4, and then you just go to my channel, go to the playlist, see, what is in the playlist, and you watch and you learn those, and then go on my MATLAB and do homework. Homework for chapter 5 is open, including today's lecture already. So just go on and do homework. And I will see you all at some point. I'll be on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. That means tomorrow at 1 with 6.1. And then Thursday at 3 with 6.2. Please watch those announcements. And if you are missing any of these live streams for lectures, just watch the video that it's available on YouTube, 24/7 on my channel. And then you can search other channels and, with the same concept and learn the stuff. See ya. Stay well.